I'm gonna just start recording.
Okay.
Why is it lawnmower?
Is this on?
Yes. Wait, say stuff?
Hello? Is this working?
Yeah, so you can like speak like a foot away maybe and it still
Like
should be
this?
fine. Yeah. And you can like turn the thing or
So like
turn the mic your
this is cool.
that's
Well,
cool.
I got it. That's fine. I'll just leave it like that.
Okay. What do you want to talk about first?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I have a question about how you manage like you intake your like what you eat and what like how you control yourself. Like I don't know if it's when like I have a like stomach problems, it's like harder for me to control what I eat because it's like feels more difficult. Like my body seems like it's still uncomfortable even when I eat healthy foods. Like when you decide to choose what you eat for running, how easy is it like for you to do that?
Like now it's pretty easy because I've spent so many years like trying things out,
Mm,
and there's so many things that didn't work to the point where it's like kind of like an elimination diet where you know that if I eat this many hours before I run, I'm gonna have to use the bathroom multiple times when I run.
mm-hmm.
Or even stuff like if I eat this before bed, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Like a lot of people can, like my sister can just fall asleep, no problem, no matter what she eats. If I just have like a little bit of chocolate or something like 3 hours before bed, I'll like be up for 45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
before I fall asleep. And but like with the stomach thing, it's difficult with like running because I still sometimes have a few problems, but that would be more so when I'm not cognizant of like when I'm eating and what I'm eating and planning that out before. But it's like, because I know exactly, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I know exactly what works for me. So it's like today I have a workout, I have a track workout. So it's
Mm-hmm.
higher intensity, fairly high mileage. I don't have to worry about bathrooms as much because there's bathrooms at the track. But let's just say it was a long run. Like tomorrow I have a long run.
Yeah.
So let's say the long run is today, and I don't want to try to find bathrooms because sometimes the bathrooms won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'll go fast until about like 11 or noon, till after we play at the festival. And then I brought my own lunch, which was two burger patties and an avocado, because then it's not really it's kind of heavier, but I have to drive back to San Diego and I'll let it digest then. And by that time, I purposely like had more fat in the meal because I didn't want a lot of carbs to have like my insulin spike when I was driving, and then
Mm-hmm.
like me just get tired. Not like I was gonna crash, but like I just don't.
Yeah.
It's more of like a sustained energy, and those two things, like for me, like red meat and like fruit are the best things for me when it comes to like keeping my stomach under control, because I think they're like the two most natural things humans could eat, like over really anything else. Because when you look at, I mean, definitely not like grains, because those have some sort of not processing as in like processed, like ultra processed foods, but like with white rice, even, it's not that bad, but
Yeah.
there, it's it's still grain, and they have to take the shell off the brown rice and then dehull it. Bread is way more, you have to you're making bread, and it's just what I found is that the less processing of any kind of food, just because like if I'm eating ground beef, that gets really processed because like it's from
Mm-hmm.
it's 3 different countries.
Yeah.
But if by processing I mean like changing the food
Mm-hmm.
from like one thing to another, and so that's just what I found. And then a lot of people like had told me initially, it's like, well, you still need to eat like long long term carbs, long burning carbs, slow burning carbs. That's what it is, compared to like fruit and like sweet potatoes. And I found that I feel fine when I don't. like they said, well, you're gonna get tired. I was like, I don't feel tired really ever.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's just because like if you look at like keto people who are like able to sustainably do it, they don't get energy crashes. That's because they don't take any influx of carbs, and the majority of the, well, all of their diet is just, you know, protein and fat, and that's really good at sustaining you. So it's like I'm essentially kind of keto until like after I run. I try to be, because I just feel the best when I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it just goes hand in hand with the stomach thing. The way my body feels is going to correlate to how my stomach feels. When I'm tired, if I'm stressed, you know, I'll have more bloating on runs. I'll have, you know, it'll be more out of my control. But if I'm like getting consistent, you know, great sleep, no stress, training's going well and everything, like, and like, you know, food's easy to go by. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
When you're like deciding to eat things though, maybe that's the difference. Like when you play a sport, when you actually have like motivation to make your run good, do you think that's what like drives you to actually choose what you eat correctly and at
Yeah.
what times?
Yeah. I don't know if this is the healthiest thing to do mentally, but I'm always kind of like trying to think about how to maximize like the next thing I do. Like and that's why I feel like the protein part is so important, because I feel like it's so crucial for like rebuilding muscles and just
Yeah.
sustaining energy, and like the fat for brain energy too, because our brain is, I don't know what the percentage is. It's a very large percent of fat.
Mm-hmm.
So we need healthy fats. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember before like I started running. I was just kind of like I just kind of ate whatever my mom gave me. And like
Mm-hmm.
I love my mom and everything, but she doesn't know a whole lot about like, she's not a runner,
Yeah.
and you know, she knows what healthy foods are, but she's been kind of shown the whole like eat your greens, and which I like, I eat a lot of vegetables as well, but that'll only be after I run, just for like, I mean, I also think they taste good, but I just,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, to answer your question about like running is a goal. And I think when I have that end goal be something, it's very easy to have everything else fall into place. And it doesn't have to be a sport. That's why I'm trying to figure out that like next thing for like academically,
Yeah.
because I feel sometimes like I'm a little lost when it comes to that. But yeah, at least for one aspect in like sports, life, nutrition, and all that stuff, I feel
Mhm.
like if you have one thing, hi JJ,
A middle schooler.
yeah, that's a sixth grade kid I teach.
Wait, why do you teach him?
Trumpet. He's funny. Anyways, when you, yeah, I just found that it's really 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 easy when you have that one thing.
Mm,
The why, I think, is the best way to put it.
yeah. What I'm curious about is how I can turn myself into having like that one thing to do, one goal to aim for, because I don't think it's very helpful. Like it helps to some degree to just think like I'm gonna eat these things to make my body feel good and to be healthy, right? But like it's another thing to say that you're using this healthiness to do something. Like when I was like playing soccer, and I don't think it's like maybe as important. Nutrition probably is important, like as important as running when I was playing soccer. But all of a sudden, like as soon as I got injured and I realized like I can't like be kicking the ball, it's gonna like injure my hip and everything. And I just stopped like doing that much exercise and like feeling like my diet doesn't really need to be that important. So like,
I just want to make sure nobody walks in.
oh,
Um,
it just feels like there's not like I can't just say I want to be healthy as my end goal. Or do you think that is a possible way to think about it?
yeah, well, like one thing that stands out to me with that is like the stats, like 95% of all diets fail. So like, you know, I know you're not trying to like diet. It's just like losing weight. You know, a lot of people will be like, I feel overweight or I feel this, that. And whatever the reason is, they say, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to try this diet. I want to either, maybe it's not lose weight. I want to gain muscle. And 95% of all those diets fail. The reason why is you couldn't be given exactly, and this is not exactly what you were saying, but this is more like just a very literal standpoint. You can be given everything you need. You could have a private, up until the point of a private chef where they cook everything for you. It's going to be, if you are still in charge of preparing your food, but you know exactly what you need to eat, when you need to eat it, all that stuff, there's still another part that if you don't have if you don't know why you're doing it, that it's gonna be a lot harder. And so like with soccer, I totally get what you mean. Like, cause I've gotten injured a couple times, and initially I had that thought, and then I mean, I feel very lucky because my injuries have never been
like too long term.
Yeah. They haven't been chronic. They haven't been crippling. And, I can still run today. I'm running every day. But in those moments where it's like, okay, well, I know I'm going to run eventually. But right now, I have no idea. It could be 4 days. It could be 2 weeks. It could be a month. I don't know. All I know is that if I commit myself to this recovery process, no matter how long it'll take, it'll be shorter than what it would have been if I hadn't done that, if I don't do that. And that part's honestly just, I try to stay disciplined when I know that it's going to work, or when I know the recovery window is shorter than, say, a broken bone. Yeah. Because, that stuff can get really demotivating. I mean, you hear all these stories of athletes, especially during COVID with depression, and just when, I'm not a strict professional athlete in any sense. I'd like to think I share some of their mindset, but some of those people, it's their entire life. That is their why completely, 100%. That's why they wake up. That's why they go to bed. It's all they think about. And so like when you have COVID, when you take their entire identity, which I also don't think is, I don't know if it's healthy. I'm not going to say it isn't, because people, like, that's just sometimes who people are. But if there is a person who, say football, they're a great quarterback. If that's their entire identity, they're obsessed with it. They just want to be the best, and you tell them, well, you make them not play. You can't compete. You can still train, but it's an indefinite period. It's good to mess with their mind, some of their minds. Some people, and these people are very rare, they'll be able to like sprint when the distance is, when they don't know how far they have to sprint for. It's like, the phrase is sprinting when the distance is unknown. And that's really hard to do because you don't know when you're going to get tired out. But they'll just commit themselves completely. Those people are very rare, and you can't compare yourself to people like them in most cases, because they had a process to get there, and oftentimes you're only looking at the end results of decades of work or years of work that they've failed and just tried. Like they just didn't stop trying, and then they got to this point of, okay, I know exactly what I want. It was kind of like your question about, how do I know what to eat? It's like I've just done a lot of research. I've committed myself a lot before, and where now it's like, okay, I don't need to do it. It's like having a professional piano player play Happy Birthday compared to someone who's never touched it at all. The guy who's never touched the piano will probably be able to like muster it out after like a few tries. And like the professional, I mean, it's Happy Birthday. Everybody knows how to play that if they play an instrument.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I was actually like figuring out what I was going to ask you. I think it was like Wednesday night, and I was like eating a chocolate like the moment I was like figuring out these questions, and it took me like 15 minutes to consider whether or not to eat the chocolate. It's like one of those sugar-free chocolates, but it still has a bunch of like bad sugars in it, and has like other things, like kind of like laxative stuff that like I searched up about the chocolate. Right. And I was just like, I really want to eat this chocolate like so bad, and I just figuring out every single reason why I shouldn't eat it. And I knew like I've done this a lot where I just suddenly get the urge to eat something horrible. And our house always has snacks. It's like my little brother always asks my mom to get snacks. And
Right.
even if it doesn't have that many snacks, there's always like some little thing like a chocolate around.
Yeah.
And this is what has happened to me like over the past few months where suddenly I'll get a moment like that. And I know that I won't get long-term pleasure from eating it. And I know that I need to be healthy in order to sleep well, in order to wake up the next morning and actually study and then not feel tired when I'm like in calc or something like that.
Right.
And I still ate the chocolate. I was like, how do people who are addicted to like drugs get off the drugs? Like even just something so little as food.
Right.
And it's not like even that's supposed to be that addicting. Like it's like I can't even describe just how much I want to eat that chocolate, like one part of my brain.
Yeah.
And then after I ate it, I was like, dude, this is horrible. I want to feel bad later. And it's almost like just numbing. And the motivation of like wanting to just maintain my healthiness, it's almost like blurred by eating because I get all guilty. And eventually I'll get maybe a little bit groggy. It might affect my sleep. And I feel like what you said about like setting a goal, I guess maybe the problem that I have is like I see people like professional athletes who like are able to maintain such a diet and people who are actually like doing that consistently. I see you like eating pretty healthy and like being able to put that into practice when you're like as an athlete. And it's like I don't realize, I guess, that it's supposed to take like months, it's supposed to take years
Yeah.
to actually be able to figure out what's comfortable for you and to be able to realize that, hey, I want to do this. I'm not gonna like it's not something I can just figure out like a math problem and just start doing.
Right.
It's like it's self-control like takes a while. I'm just afraid that to like high school, being junior year and next year being senior year, like this period of time
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just start ramping up and I'm just gonna be like still stuffing food down my mouth that I shouldn't be eating.
No, well, so like there's like that cliche say was like everybody's different where one process won't work for the next person. And I hate that phrase so much, but it's 100% true.
Mm.
And it took me so long, especially as a runner, because like you'll see these short guys, tall guys, lean guys, most muscular guys. It's like, and like, yeah, distance runners are usually skinny, but some of them aren't. Like some of them are like fairly big. It's like, how are you fast? And it's just that part of my brain also showed me that like comparison it's not sustainable. It's very good for motivation. It's like I really like the phrase comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
And so when you aren't focused 100% on yourself, it starts to suck things out of you. Another thing, this also took me a while to figure out, and I didn't like it when I figured it out because it was contrary to everything I thought leading up to this. But you have to celebrate like the small wins. And that is another thing where it's frustrating because it's like when I heard people first say this, like, I don't really need to do that. It's like when they're celebrating, their tiny wins. Let's say you didn't eat the chocolate. It's like if I this goes back to the comparative thing. If I'm looking at someone else who didn't eat the chocolate and they're giving themselves a pat on the back, well, that could be time spent on something else where I wasn't even thinking about it. But then that other person has to realize that their process is just so completely different. And yeah, I think there's a lot of like self detriment when you consistently pile. Here, let me phrase it this way. I think it was Skinner, one of the psychologists who displayed the effects between punishment and reinforcement, and positive reinforcement was by far like the most effective. So it's like, rather than thinking I shouldn't eat this, I shouldn't, do all this and all that, just take it like literally 1 second at a time. Like if you can go the next 5 seconds without eating the chocolate, then you won those 5 seconds. Something like that. And then you keep doing that. And then you put it away. And then you can go upstairs. And then another way to look at it is just remembering, like just visualize yourself very tired in calc class. If that's what had happened the last time you did it. That's what, got me to like get my sleep right, because I would be falling asleep in pre-calc as a sophomore. And I like couldn't walk around school because my legs were so sore. So it's like, okay, something needs to change.
Yeah.
But when you place so much emphasis on something like a little piece of chocolate, it's not, it's a very natural thing. I do that. I still do that all the time. And oftentimes I fail. It's just that it's about moving forward from that. And then preparing yourself for the next time. And then when the next time comes, when you crave anything, you just have to slow your brain down, I think. Because when you keep thinking, because I know approximately, what you were like, there's a lot of different thoughts. Like it literally feels like it's like a left brain, right brain war, where it's just like back and forth. And then one thing that, just like you can just put it down for like 1 second. Like you could even tell yourself, okay, Ryan, I'm going to eat in 5 minutes. I will eat the chocolate in 5 minutes. And then say, but I'm going to go upstairs first and I'm going to put the chocolate wherever I found it. And tell yourself completely willingly, I'm going to eat it. And then when that 5 minutes comes, just, think, have I eaten that yet? And then another thing you can do is just brush your teeth, because then that also, will prevent you from doing it. I don't know.
I've tried that, but sometimes my brushing teeth time has been getting later and later. It's
right.
But sometimes I like when I really, really know that I'm going to start doing it, I just brush my teeth, and it kind of just slowly goes away. But it doesn't happen every time.
Yeah. Well, it's like, because stuff like this is like, there are eating disorders that people develop. You don't have an eating disorder yet. Actually, I'm not even going to generalize that, but
I don't think.
But I think most of the time, what happens with eating disorders is people will self-fixate on food, maybe more or less to what you're doing, but it'll come from like, well, there's two kinds. It's like anorexia and then bulimia. And it's when they attach a different value to food, right? Because food is, food is a lot of different things. It's culture. It's like talking with family. It's all those great things. But when they'll attach self-value to food, where it's like, I have to show myself that I'm in control of my own brain through this. So I'm not going to eat. And when I don't eat, then it's, I have proven to myself that I have control. And then they'll keep doing that. Or it'll be the opposite of, I don't know, an example of bulimia. But so, if you get to a state where it's like that, it is, precarious, because it can tip over. But then it's back to finding the sustainable things, where it's like, here's a chocolate bar. Okay, well, why do I want it? Well, it tastes good. Why does it taste good? It has these ingredients. Okay, are there any other healthier alternatives that taste like that? Let's say I'm craving sugar. I'll have like a bowl of fruit and honey. And to me, that tastes like genuinely better than a lot of things. It's weird because people used to say like exactly what I just said, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like a bowl of fruit and honey like is not better than, Kit Kat, because Kit Kats used to be my favorite. But like I've trained it's not trained, I've just gotten used to like healthier mentally and physical practices, and things have fallen in place as a result. But it's like, it's not like I've gotten everything figured out. I mean, like with all the, healthy practices I have and this and that, like if you just look at running performance, I haven't improved much at all since sophomore year from a statistical racing standpoint. But like, I mean, it's very clear that, let's see, like I ran 4:24 in my first race as a sophomore, and like I've only ran faster than that twice since then. I haven't PR'd on that this entire senior year. And then I don't know if it's training style, because my coach, who I've been working with only a year, has us peak really hard at the end of the season. So we get really, really fast for like 2 or 3 weeks during CIF and state. But it's also very, very hard mentally, because you'll see all these other kids, running all these times. It's like, you'll see them, and it's, you do kind of get sucked down that, rabbit hole of just losing where you are on your path. It's like, oh, I could really, easily do that workout. Because like as like a sophomore in high school, I was doing stuff that was crazy. I don't think I was training right. I was probably overtraining, but like they were really good workouts. It was like, borderline D1 stuff. And then so I was like, I think it was just a constant cycle of comparison. And then once I lost that, especially when, Ken, went to Yale, I was kind of by myself. I was like, oh shit, I got to figure this out on my own. And I think when you lump everything in like on one thing, like the running thing, if I'm in running my identity, if I get injured, I'm screwed, right? I think that's kind of like what the eating thing does. So I think I used to be like that, and because like with running, it's like, well, this is controversial, but it's always good to be light as a distance runner, right? You want to be as lean as you can while not being too lean where you develop injuries. So like if you are at the end of your season, you should try to be, you should try to have as little fat as possible. It's just the honest truth. But you can't get there by being lean the entire season, because you'll get injured, you'll get stress fractures, you'll get sick, and there'll be bigger training blocks where you need to be a little heavier. So it's like, I always used to think, well, I want to get there to that certain point, but I kept failing. And so like I finally figured out this one way where it's just like, I've completely detached food from like any other like identity or value. And it's just fuel, right? This food on my plate is going to fuel me for the next day. And then this excess will not. I mean, even though I might want to eat it, let me just take a step back, because I know I'm not under eating. You technically have to under eat a little bit to lose weight, calories in, calories out. Yeah. But it's like, I'm getting enough, protein. So I know that my muscles can recover. Fat's fine, because that'll sustain me for a long time. So, okay, where's the one spot I could cut, which is carbs. So I don't need a lot of short-term energy. My fat storages will keep me through on like easy runs. If I have like a track workout, then I'll, I'm kind of getting too specific, but it's just like, I think attaching different identities to different things it's applicable in the short run, but it's not sustainable in the long run. It's kind of like the difference between like motivation and discipline. It's like discipline, it'll beat motivation when, motivation doesn't want to get out of bed. Yeah. Right. But that doesn't mean, I don't mean to say that you should never have motivation, because motivation is very helpful with a lot of those things. So then it's just attaching those, two identities to each other.
The last thing, I guess, I wanted to ask you about is you were telling me like that this year, and I don't know if last year too, your like running time, right, hasn't like improved the way you wanted to improve. And it may like be related to like you want to peak at the end, but the idea of just like other people, it seems like you're working as hard, you're doing all these things, if not more, and your diet is like you've put all your effort into maintaining or exercising, doing your diet right, but at the same time there are other people who are just faster. Right. And how do you reconcile with that? Because I personally I don't believe in like determinism. Like it's not really that I don't rationally believe it. It's more just like I can't, like I don't want to believe that that's
Right.
just the way things work. And at the same time, I, I have a sort of that comparison mindset when it comes to like being a productive person all around, like academically. When it comes to like seeing people like Sanjana in your grade, or like people like Jason in our grade, and I see them working and they like really smart, and it seems like they're at the same time they definitely are putting effort, but I don't feel like I'm putting like less effort
Right.
than them.
Right.
But at the same time, they're the way they get things done, the way like they can be very intellectual and absorb information so quickly, and then use that information like academically. It's like really crazy, and I don't know if that's just I don't know how to feel about that sometimes. So I'm wondering how you reconcile with them with
Yeah.
running or other parts like of your life.
Well, like, and this is a very broad generalization and might sound a little narcissistic, but I do believe I work harder than most other kids in like in San Diego when it comes to track.
Jason.
Like, I'm probably more committed than they are. And at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, you have, if you want to define something as success, that none of that is guaranteed, period.
Yeah.
You could do every single thing you were ever told by the smartest people, and you still have a chance of failure. The only thing with success that's really guaranteed is just you're going to fail if you don't try at all. And as soon as I reconciled with that, like what you were saying, it kind of freed me. I was like, okay, well then there's no really expectations. My mom used to say, like, I'm proud of you as long as you do your best. I was like, I did my best. She says, no, you didn't. I was like, what do you mean? You don't know my best? I was like, yes, I do. And so she technically didn't know what my best was. I definitely, okay, when I said I was doing my best, I was probably at 40%. So my mom knew me. She knew me growing up. She knew what I could do. Now we've gone to the point where it's like, you are the only one who knows what your best is. And while you might be trying to refine what effort levels, what practices will define you as your best, you know the effort level that you have to give that is equal to your 100%. And it's also because you can't become a workaholic. You'll burn yourself out. You have to find those breaks, but you know, like the maximum amount that it's really funny. I found that I was listening to Elon. He was like, I found that I need to have 6 hours of sleep at least, which is, you know, for older people, I guess I couldn't see that. And then, you know, the guy interviewing was like, well, why do you need that? He said, well, I've tried less and I just wasn't productive. So that's a very, very extreme level of finding that step back. But as soon as you identify within yourself 100% effort or commitment, I think you can really break it down into the smaller pieces, because it's very hard to look at things as a whole, right? If you have like a really long race, let's say you're literally running a marathon. If you think about, shit, I got to run 26 miles, it's going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, mentally, it's just very hard to look at. Like, I have 2-hour runs, where it's like 17 miles. And often, like on days where I don't want to do it, I'll still have to. And I know I'm going to do it. So then it comes to the point where, how do I get through this how do I enjoy this as much as possible? And so I break it down into, you know, 9-minute segments, and then I'll repeat that, you know, the 12 times. And then all of a sudden on out and back, I'll have done it 6 times. Oh, I'm already halfway done. But like what you were saying with the effort, just be very directional on every single thing you do. If you are eating dinner with your family, make sure you are present and talking with your family and enjoying the food, enjoying the company. But let's say you have a test the next day. You're not thinking about the test during dinner. You think about the test before dinner, and you say, okay, at 7:00, I need to say, hey guys, great. You know, love talking to you as always, you know, but I have to go study for my test. And that's fine. You know, at 7:00, you know, put your plates away and you go upstairs. And then you become very focused on chem or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And if you just block it out into, okay, 30 minutes of studying for chem, and within those 30 minutes, I'm going to do this much multiple choice, this much FRQ, and you just focus it on even like the shorter amounts. I'm focused on this one multiple choice, and now I'm done with that. And then this FRQ, and you commit yourself to that, and you're done with that. The what we call as productivity is going to go way up, and then even after that, it'll be like, I feel a little tired. I know I need to study a little bit more, but I'm going to go to bed. And then when you get in bed, you have to understand that you could be studying, you could still be learning, but you have, very warily made the choice that I need to get sleep to, retain the information and then wake up the next day. Let's say it's not as late, let's say you start at 6 or whatever, and you want to take a break. If you say, okay, I want to watch 10 minutes of YouTube, watch 10 minutes of YouTube without thinking about the other stuff. Because if you keep thinking about the other stuff, your brain's not going to recover as much, right? And you're not going to feel as refreshed, right? It's like a very basic example is like, since I'm a runner, if you go really, really hard one day and, you run 10 miles and the next day you say, okay, I want to take the day off. But that day you're still walking around, you're on your legs a lot. Maybe you go run around with, a dog at the park. I don't know. The point is, if you're not really taking that day off, the next day compared to someone who just stayed in bed all day and just stayed at home and was relaxing, you're going to feel very different, even though technically you guys both didn't run that day. So while you're away from studying and you're still thinking about chem, while another version of you is just completely disconnected from that, that other person is going to be a lot more willing and responsive and, mentally engaged than the other person. Mm-hmm. And so like that's just what I've found worked for me when it comes to preparing myself for that.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to go back to the last thing about like, coming to grips with, this is the last thing I'll say about like other people. There's always going to be other people better than you. And yeah, that statement, there's always going to be other people better than you, because there's only one person in the world where no one knows better than them. And, chances are it's not you. So once you put that into perspective and you actually have to acknowledge it, because you could say a lot of things just to say them. But until you actually like fully like embrace that and like digest that internally, you're going to keep, nothing's going to change, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you keep thinking, oh, well, there'll always be someone better than me, so now I'm good, but you don't actually feel that way, then it's just not, nothing will change.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you do actually conceptualize that, you've freed yourself from all expectations, because all you have to do is like be the most pure version of yourself. The most, I guess self-actualization is a strong term, but I guess that would be the closest thing I could, put to that. So
yeah,
once you've completely isolated all the other distractions of other people, other expectations, even previous versions of yourself. Oh, I was at this point last year, this time, for running, but now I'm not. Yeah, yes, you were there, but you're not there anymore. So you have to figure out how to go forward from, wherever you are now. So I think I probably could have said that in much more concise terms, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay, I gotta go to class now.
Okay.
That was refreshing.
Great. I'm glad. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully the 2 listeners find this enjoy.